Good evening, everybody. I don't know what's going on with my computer right here because it's not showing me that I am live yet. But Facebook is showing me that I am live. So that's kind of weird. Maybe there's a delay or something.
Good evening, everybody.
So anyway, I'm just gonna go with it.
I don't know what's going on with my
We'll see what happens.
here because it's not showing me that I am live yet.
As you can hear, I right there. But my computer's still saying it's loading. So I don't know. We're gonna see what happens. Anyway, I may have to start over and be right back because this may not work because I'm not being able to see myself. I guess it really don't matter, does it? Oh, there I am. But it's still saying live video is starting, but yet it tells me I'm live. So I told y'all it's strange. It's very strange. I guess it's my computer that's having some issues. I don't know. I'm not sure where I go. I'm still in. Weird. Anyway, what are we going to talk about tonight? Oh, I got something really, there was some really good news to tell y'all. Actually, today I was studying and I was doing my messages, like I usually do. And I was doing some of my own study. I was reading John because I was doing that for my sermon that I got to preach tomorrow. And then of course I did the one that the message for the chapter of 2 Chronicles 1 today that I was doing. I don't remember which one I was actually doing when I got a message popped up, and it was John Finley messaged me saying, I believe it was right after I was read John, and he messaged me and he said, there is a documentary film crew in Pine Bluff, and they want to talk to you about your story about what happened. And it happens they're following John Finley around Pine Bluff and talking about some of the issues with Pine Bluff and stuff. So, primarily John Finley is the subject of, I guess Pine Bluff is the subject of this documentary. John Finley being active in Pine Bluff about the things that he's doing. He's part of the documentary. And I am grateful to John Finley that he thought of me to want to put my story as part of that documentary too. I don't know exactly what the subject of the documentary is. I didn't even ask. Because because I know it was the Lord's doing as soon as it happened. Everything that's happening is the Lord's doing. And I'm not going to ask too many questions about what the Lord got's going on. I just do. Because as soon as I got that message, I knew it was the Lord. Because I just been reading the Word. He'd been talking to me already that morning. This morning. And I've been going through the last few days, I've been going through quite a bit of spiritual warfare. Especially since the food pantry the other day. And when I tell y'all, When that spiritual warfare happens and them tests comes, when them devils come out, that's when I know it's because it's a blessing. It's coming. The Lord's about to issue a blessing. That's why everybody, there's a lot of people I've noticed that are going through some issues, some difficulties. That's why Paul tells us, count it all joy when you face trials and temptations. Because it builds us up. But it's also because each one of those trials and temptations, there's going to be a little blessing behind it. Because God rewards every step you take in the right direction. So I just wanted to offer that encouragement to everybody today. I don't know what's supposed to happen. Like I said, I don't know where I'm going to pop it next. I don't know if this documentary is even going. I don't know where it's going to show up. I know it was pretty cool, though. I met some guys. These filmmakers are from New York and Chicago. And it was kind of funny because they were getting eaten up by mosquitoes. They were getting, I mean, the mosquitoes was tearing them up over there. Y'all remember how them mosquitoes was over there? They was killing me. Well, they was killing them more so, and they weren't used to it. And this one guy, he like drops his camera, and I thought something bad happened. I was like, "Are you okay?" Some mosquitoes. They're not used to those pterodactyl Arkansas mosquitoes. But anyway, I mean, I think I had a pretty good time today. I mean, I knew the news was one thing, but this was full on like 2 or 3 cameras and a microphone boom, and like we was shooting a movie or something, because we were. It was a documentary film. So, I thought it was pretty cool. Anyway. Whatever. Where am I at? Oh. Oh, and then by the way, I had a test to get there. Because y'all know my car ain't running right. My transmission's not shifting, so I'm like having to go 30 miles an hour everywhere I go, and it ain't good for it. So I have to like judge where I'm going and what I'm doing, so I can't just be running everywhere. So, but this, I was like going to let my car sit here till next week because I wasn't going to go nowhere unless I absolutely had to in this car till I get this part on here. But when I got there, I was like, the Lord told me that I better move my behind and I better just transit and risk it, and so I did. But, you know, I had a flat tire too. So I had to fix my tire, or at least patch it up as best I could with some Fix-A-Flat to even make it over there to the property today to do it. But I did it. This was the Lord doing. And the whole time I was like looking at it and praying. I was like, Lord, I don't want to have to change a flat tire today. I didn't have to. So. And I got it done. And that's the way you do it. Anyway, to the message tonight. I'm hooked up in here in my car. As you can see, I got a light. I told you I was going to work on that. I was going to get a light. I got a light. So, it's coming together. And I'm in my car because I know y'all been hearing my messages and my dogs howling and screaming. Even though they're inside, you can still hear them. They sound like it ain't, like it's a dog pound in there. I don't know why they do that, but they do. Anyway, so they don't like it that I'm sitting out there giving my messages. They want me inside with them, so. So I'm sitting in the car, so it's quiet. So we got a quiet atmosphere. I've got a light so I'm not in the dark. And I'm fixing to give y'all a message on 2 Chronicles 1. Solomon, a new king, a wise request, and God's abundant response. So, in this chapter, this is the very first chapter of 2 Chronicles, and it serves as a powerful inauguration of Solomon's reign. This is when, remember we talked about the last chapter of 1 Chronicles where Solomon, Solomon was anointed king. David, it was the end of David's reign, and Solomon becomes king. And, this highlights his divinely sanctioned authority and, most importantly, the initial devotion to God. His initial devotion to God. The author's writing, the purpose of the writing, he was writing to as I said, all these books are to the exiles who returned, and that's this time period. And it highlights, this Davidic dynasty and the importance of seeking God for success and a national blessing. This chapter focuses on, Solomon's significant act of worship at Gibeon, where the tabernacle and the bronze altar of Moses were kept. And it's this massive offering that he made, this 1,000 burnt offerings that he made. 1,000 burnt offerings. And he demonstrated his commitment to the established religious institution. So, we start out in this chapter where it talks about, Solomon making these offerings. And when he did, God appeared to him. And God asked him, what he wanted. And Solomon asked for wisdom. And, he didn't ask for wealth and riches and things. He couldn't ask for anything, but he didn't. He asked for wisdom. So that he could lead his people well. And because of this humble kingdom-focused request, God was pleased. He was pleased with that Solomon asked for something like this. And so this set this pattern for his success, because of success is ultimately a result of seeking God and prioritizing the welfare. A king's success is the result of seeking God and prioritizing the welfare of their people. That's the biblical idea of a ruler, of a king. Success, a successful king, is how well they seek God and how well they treat their people. Because his people are God's people. And God puts rulers in power over people, over his people. And he expects them to treat his people well. And the chapter concludes with a summary of Solomon's initial prosperity and military strength, positioning him as an exceedingly great and blessed king. And his prosperity is directly attributed to God's favor, which was secured by his wise choice, that he chose wisdom. So, when first part of this chapter, God established and exalted, Solomon as this chosen king in the Davidic line. Uh, we first see that Solomon is established securely in his kingdom, and it says the Lord is his God, and was the Lord his God was with him and exalted him greatly. This reinforced the Davidic covenant and God's active role. Then it says Solomon addresses all Israel, the chiefs, judges, and leaders, in gathering the full assembly to demonstrate his rightful authority. This is where he gathered everybody together. He was the king, he was the leader, and he gathers everybody together. And he leads the nation in this worship according to this divinely established pattern. And so they go to the high place in Gibeon, where the tent of meeting, or the tabernacle of Moses, was. Of course, they don't have a physical structure yet. They have this tent, the tabernacle. And even though the ark was in Jerusalem, the primary altar was still at Gibeon. So that's when he went to this to make this burnt offerings upon the altar. And so this bronze altar, which was made by Bezalel, it's hard to say that name, but was located there. And Solomon offers his 1,000 burnt offerings on this bronze altar before the Lord. This was considered to be this lavish display of devotion. 1,000 burnt offerings upon the altar. He went all out. He wanted to really show God how devoted he was to him with this big display. This wasn't something that was a grand display for his own self. It was a display purposefully to show God his devotion. Then, of course, Solomon asked God for wisdom. When God shows himself to Solomon and asks Solomon, "What do you want me to give to you? What would you ask of me?" And Solomon asked for wisdom. He says this prayer, ask for wisdom, and God honors this prayer by granting him wisdom and unprecedented blessings. We see that it says that night God appeared to Solomon and said, "Ask what I shall give you." This shows that God initiated this, that God came to Solomon. After Solomon did these offerings, after Solomon showed his devotion to God, God came to Solomon. And God asked him what he could give him. And Solomon first acknowledges God's great love for his father, David, and then asks for wisdom and knowledge to rightly lead and judge God's vast, numerous people. That's pretty much, he says that. He says, these people are so great of people. How am I supposed to do this? I need wisdom. I need your wisdom, Lord, to do this. I need you to give me the wisdom and the knowledge to be able to rightly judge and lead these people, your people. And of course this touched God's heart because Solomon didn't ask for, he could ask for anything. He could ask for wealth, he could ask for honor, long life, he could ask for anything. But out of Solomon's heart, for the people. He asked for God to give him what he needed to do the task that God set him over. So God grants his request for wisdom and knowledge and promises to add the things he did not ask for. God tells him, I'm going to give you since you've asked me for wisdom and knowledge, since you asked me for the thing out of your heart, this right thing to do for my people, I'm going to give you the things you didn't ask for. I'm going to give you more. I'm going to give you the riches and the wealth and the honor, such as no king before you has had, and none after you shall have. I'm going to give it all to you, Solomon, because you ask for the right thing with the right heart. You showed your heart to me that you wanted to do right by my people. And because of that, I'm going to give you everything that I possibly can. And that's infinite with God. So that's what he says. Such as no king before you has had, and none after you shall have. So, this shows blessings of this obedience too, because material and political success are direct results of divine wisdom and favor. Solomon wouldn't have been able to have any of his political or material successes if he hadn't asked for this divine wisdom and favor and received this favor from God, because he asked for the wisdom first, and then he gained the favor, and then God gave him everything else. Solomon returns from the high place at Gibeon to Jerusalem, having been in the presence of the tent of meeting, and reigns over Israel. And then Solomon acquires a huge number of chariots and horses that make silver and gold as common as stones in Jerusalem, it says, and sets up international trade deals for horses and chariots, establishing his unparalleled wealth and power. He set up this vast, and it says he made everything was abundant. He made everything abundant, so abundant that silver and gold was like common stones, like rocks. That's how wealthy and abundant Solomon's kingdom was. It wasn't just Solomon hoarding wealth. He established it throughout the whole kingdom in Jerusalem. And he set up these trade deals. Like they had this trade with all these other nations and stuff, and the commerce and their economy was just flowing and booming. They had abundance, overflowing, abundance, blessing for God's favor. And they were trading horses and chariots, and that's another people I think talks about when Solomon set up this trade network, and they had had a transportation system that flowed. Everything was flowing from Jerusalem out to all these other nations and back and forth, and people was taking there was a lot of activity. And people was being able to be transported back and forth, and it was a center of abundance. I mean, you can imagine, and it was unparalleled in the ancient world and during that time, and what Solomon did. And he did this because he had the wisdom. He asked for the wisdom and knowledge of God, and he got it. God gave it to him. That's why Queen of Sheba came to see Solomon, because she heard about him. His fame was so far and so wide that everybody was coming to see Solomon. How wise he was, because there wasn't nobody like him. Anywhere. So this chapter is a pivotal moment in the biblical narrative, and it is the climax of the Davidic covenant's initial fulfillment. God's promise to David in 2 Samuel 7 was that a son would build his house, the temple, and that his throne would be established forever. Back now. I'm checking this out because I think I went off.
God's promise to David in 2 Samuel 7 was that a son would build his house, the temple, and that his throne would be established forever.
Am I back? I can't tell. I'm trying to figure that out.
Back now.
Yeah. I'm back home.
I'm checking this out.
It didn't go completely off. It said I was disconnected, so I reconnected. So hopefully it's going to be the same live video streaming here. And I'm gonna sometimes I have to do a two-parter because it disconnects and then I have to go back. So hopefully it reconnected quick enough that we can go through this. Now, where was I at? It's the devil. He's trying to interrupt me talking about Solomon tonight. As I was saying, Jesus. He was trying to interrupt me talking about Jesus because that's who I was talking about just then when it cut me off. So Jesus is the ultimate fulfillment of the Davidic king. He possesses not a gift of wisdom, but is the very wisdom of God incarnate. He is the Word. He is the wisdom. The Word is God's wisdom and knowledge. Jesus is the Word. I believe. Let's look up this verse right here. Because I don't know why I didn't cite that verse, but 1 Corinthians 1:24. Reason. This is. I'm getting there, y'all. Sorry. That is not correct. I knew that. I was like, what is this? I knew that wasn't correct. Wait, no, I'm wrong. Give me a second. It is correct. Oh. 1 Corinthians 1:24. But unto them which are called both Jews and Greeks, Christ the power of God and the wisdom of God. That's the verse that says he is the wisdom of God. So when Solomon asked for the wisdom of God, his prayer was, Jesus. He was asking for Jesus. He was calling on Jesus before Jesus was here in bodily form. He was calling on the Spirit. He was saying, give me the wisdom. Give me Christ. Isn't that something? Like Solomon's wealth was a blessing to his kingdom, Christ's supreme glory and authority are poured out as spiritual blessings on his new covenant kingdom. For our spiritual growth, the central lesson of 2 Chronicles 1 is the primacy of seeking God's wisdom and the resulting blessing that flows from that priority. Solomon's first act as king was a massive public sacrifice followed by seeking God in prayer. Spiritual growth begins with prioritizing God through worship and actively seeking His presence and will. Solomon did not ask for earthly selfish things, but for the ability to serve God's people. For the believer, this means aligning our prayers and desires with God's kingdom agenda, seeking not the world's treasures, but the gifts necessary to fulfill our God-given calling. Just as God gave Solomon what he didn't ask for, riches and honor, because he asked for what was right, wisdom. So too, the gospel teaches that when we seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, all other necessary things will be added to us. True spiritual success and fulfillment are found not in the pursuit of wealth, but in the humble pursuit of God's heart and mind. Paul talked about having the mind of Christ. We have to think like Jesus and have a heart like Jesus to be like Jesus. The only way we can do that is we learn who He was and is to be. And the way we learn that is through the Word. Daily. Receiving from the Word. Which means that you have to stay in it, you have to read it, you have to be immersed in it every day. That's where the water comes from. Not just the water, but the wine. And I just said that because that's my sermon tomorrow. At Rama. I love y'all. Y'all have a good night. I'm fixing to check and make sure I'm still on.
I think it went off. God's promise today. read in 2 Samuel 7 was that a son would build his house, the temple. And
I guess. Good night.